When listening to a presentation being given, what are you paying attention to? Is it the presenter and what they're saying, or the information on the screen, or both? What if I told you that your brain is taking all of that in and then some? As a psychology, sociology double major, I spend a lot of time learning about how humans function. Having an understanding about what part of the brain is reacting to certain characteristics is beneficial for you as a presenter. You will have complete control of how the audience will react to you. Honing in on appearance, body language, and how people learn will have your audiences locked in. No more bored looks, yawns, or guessing what will hit or miss. This is the key to a phenomenal presentation. Let's start with the test. Pause the video briefly and try to memorize this list. Which word do you remember the most? When doing this, most people remember the word lion because of the von Restorff, or isolation effect. In 1933, Hedwig von Restorff conducted a series of memory experiments, and she concluded that an isolated item amongst a list of similar items would be remembered more, rather than an item in a list where everything is the same. Unfortunately, this can cause you to only remember that item and forget what the other items were. Our brains love stimuli that is salient or surprising. The subconscious part of our brains are constantly in search of change, or surprise. Danger, or surprise. So we are biologically drawn to things that stand out. Our subconscious is taking in the visuals, sounds, smells, emotions, and the proprioception, while the conscious does all of the thinking and reading. The subconscious mind takes 1/10 of a second to decide whether you, the speaker, is credible or not. Without actively trying, the human brain reads people instantly and decides likability just as quick. That speed is integral to the function of the subconscious brain. In comparison to the conscious brain, taking in 4,000 bits of information per second, our subconscious brains take in 40 million bits of information per second. With that insatiable need to gather information at rapid rates, presentations can become extremely boring if the audience's brains aren't being stimulated. The brain will actually stop listening after 7 minutes if the presentation isn't appealing. Even if your visuals aren't exhilarating, there are a few things you can do as a presenter to keep the audience's attention. You can move around. Humans assign meaning to body movement. Standing, moving, or gesturing draws attention. Moving supports and strengthens what you were saying, as well as burns up your nervous energy and breaks that tension. Always move with reason. Remember that your subconscious is attracted to any change, so any movement will inevitably draw attention to you. There are even walking patterns designated for speeches like the ones you see here. Check your tone. If you have ever listened to someone monotonous speak, you know that it's exceedingly difficult to keep your eyes open or stifle that yawn. Your subconscious is always actively listening and paying attention to not only tone, but modulation, articulation, and pauses. Well-placed pauses make or break presentations. Check yourself. Not only is this a term that should be coined by Miss Heinrich herself, but it is sage advice for presenting. How do you look to the audience? Consider appearance, posture, and body language. Humans are naturally inclined to imitate emotions. If you look like you don't want to be presenting, your audience won't want to hear you. Reciprocation is key here. Though you may be feeling many emotions while presenting, passion and nervousness are the two most contagious emotions emulated. Doing these things while having strong visuals will have all audience members hooked. Focusing on your sound, visuals, and movement will satisfy the needs of all types of learners you may have in your audience. The VAK, or Visual Auditory Kinesthetic Theory, describes what each learner needs to grasp the concepts you are presenting. Visual learners digest graphs, mind maps, charts, and pictures best. Auditory learners prefer words and sounds. Using those well-placed pauses will spark curiosity and give your audience time to process the new concepts. Lastly, kinesthetic learners absorb movement better. These are your hands-on learners, which may be a task because most presentations aren't physically interactive. But if you move and keep the audience's energy levels up, everyone should leave the room with some newly gained knowledge and feel good. Who knew that your subconscious was doing all of that when you're just sitting there listening? Humans are fascinating, especially with our brains. Humans are fascinating, especially our brains and what we understand about them so far. Now that you understand more about what part of your brain your audience is using while you are presenting, the more you can refine your skills and target their subconsciouses for your benefit. I truly hope you enjoyed this presentation as much as I enjoyed being able to talk about psychology. Thank you for your time.